Here we have a Thuja plicata. This is an arborvitae, or a giant arborvitae, also known as western red cedar. And it's a whole big tree, but we're going to come in here and take a closer look at the leaves. These kind of leaves are called scales because they're not like needles, they're not like the broad flat leaves we get from deciduous trees. This is a kind of evergreen, and some evergreens make scales instead of leaves or instead of needles. So when I work with Thuja plicata, when I work with cedar, as we call it, we'll tend to work with the dried leaves and we'll make them into tea. This particular one, a couple of features you can see about this plant are that this one here, it currently has these green cones that have not quite formed all the way yet, but it also has here, there we go, has some of these dried leftover brown cones from the last cycle. So those have already opened and dispersed their seeds, and these fresh new ones are just getting started. When we want to identify the cedar, looking for those scale-like leaves is a good way to begin. We can also look at the bark of the tree and come in through here, and you'll see that the cedar bark has this kind of peely look to it, as if someone's been coming along and peeling off strips. That's just the way it grows. That's a good indicator that you've got yourself a Thuja cedar species on your hands. Be aware though that junipers can also look kind of similar and have similar kind of scales, so you're going to want to do a little bit more botany investigating before you're certain about which kind of species you've got. But in any case, these scale-leaved evergreen trees, they can be very helpful in the form of a tea or in a tincture, again made from the leaf, for respiratory complaints. This is a respiratory stimulating herb. It brings in circulation and movement and metabolic activity into the lungs, and it's really, really great when you have a wet, thick, phlegmy kind of a lung condition and you want to get some of that phlegm up and out of the lungs so that you can breathe easier. Thuja is a great friend for you. So that's the way that I work with cedar leaf. Again, primarily in tea, sometimes as a tincture. And one more time, this plant has several names, so it's called Thuja plicata in the Latin name. It's known as western red cedar. It's called a giant arborvitae. We'll also sometimes refer to this as cedar. Recognize there's lots of other plants that go by that common name, so you always want to drill down a little bit and make sure you know exactly which species it is you're talking about. All right, there you go.